Nothing interesting's gonna happen along the way, so everything's going good.
After being driven mad by his accomplishments constantly being overshadowed by his former colleagues, Dr. Albert Wiley sought to prove his genius through world conquest. After capturing and reprogramming robots created by famed inventor, Dr. Thomas Light, a mechanical lab assistant named Rock volunteered to be upgraded for combat, thus becoming the heroic Mega Man whose mission is to stop Dr. Wily's evil plan, and bring peace back to the world. Having defeated 3 of the 6 robot masters, the adventure continues.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PlayView. The name's gurvmlk and I'll be your host as we dive back into the world of Mega Man for the NES. From Mlk, we're going to Iceman. The Eskimo guy, or whatever. Only 50,000. He's like one of the harder bosses and definitely has the hardest stage. Don't know why he's worth so few points. Let's show off Mlk's weapon a bit. Against these guys, it'll be effective for dealing with these things. Mlk, the guy whose power is lightning, yet it causes the game to slow down. It's so perfect. It's ridiculous. It can also take out those guys, and I believe it can also... not only can it take out those invincible enemies, but I believe it can also destroy the blocks that Gutsman's arm can throw. So, it's definitely the most powerful weapon in the game. I feel like every Mega Man game has a weapon like that that just... while all the weapons have their own particular uses, I feel like there's always that one that's just indisputably better than the rest. Don't need to bother with that health. So, right, my story. I was talking about... I need to remember this pattern. I was talking about my, childhood experiences with... Mega Man. I missed the jump. Alright, see the pattern now. So, as I was saying, the only one I really owned growing up was Mega Man 4. I rented the other ones at Hollywood Video. However, they did not have the first Mega Man game. They only had 2 through 5, so those were the ones I had the most experience with growing up. But, so the first one I didn't play until years later when we started going to another video store called Video Update. And it was there the ice killed me. I didn't stop on the ice quick enough. The ice in this game really makes you slide far, I tell ya. Oh, dang it. Now that's what I call precise hitbox. It flew right over that thing just because the lightning wasn't positioned right. That's how you know you have a good game, when the hitboxes can be that specific. I just want to get rid of this guy in case I fall off the block so I don't land on him. So, alright, video update. So I used to go to video update, and this is the hardest part of the stage right here. I'm actually going to use this new item I got. I don't know exactly what it's called. I always just call it the platform gun or the magnet beam. It lets you, like my made-up name suggests, lets you create temporary platforms, but they disappear after a short time, so you gotta kind of hurry across. The problem with these things is not only do they shoot, but they have kind of a randomness to how they move. Gotta reorient myself. So, what? I know what happened there, but it doesn't make it any less bullshit. My footing swapped from the floating platform onto the platform I created, and then clung to that. So then as the platform I was on, the floating guy moved up, I got dragged through his body and smushed off the stage. Pretty much. It's a weird way of putting it, but I feel like that's basically what happened there. I warned you guys in the previous episode that if there's anywhere in this game I would die, it was this stage, and it's because of this part. Let's try to... Also, the longer you hold the fire button down with that beam, the more weapon energy it'll drain, but the longer you can make the platforms. Jump! Jump! Alright, I made it. The worst is over. So now I can get back to my story that I've been trying to frequently tell. Ah, dang it. So, video update again. So we started going to this other video store. We're still going to Hollywood Video at the time. We hadn't given up there, but every now and then we would go to this other store that was actually further away. So it's kind of weird that we went there at all. Probably for different options, or maybe the prices were different or something. I don't know. So, we would go to the store. Like with Elecman, I have spare lives, right? Yeah, so like with Elecman, I'm gonna first try to fight Iceman without his weakness, just to show him off a little bit more, because the weaknesses take bosses out way too quickly in this game to really appreciate them. So, I think it was like one of the very first times I went to Video Update with my parents, or whatever, I saw this game, and it was a really exciting thing to see because I had never seen this game before. I'd only played 2 through 5, and none of the stores I went to ever had 6 either, including Video Update. Mega Man 6 I actually never played until it released on the PlayStation 2 collection. The Mega Man Anniversary Collection. That was the very first time I ever played Mega Man 6 for the NES. So... and that's why I want to show off the bosses a bit more before just outright killing them with their weaknesses. So, I believe that may have been the very first game I ever rented over the weekend from Video Update. We're going to Fireman next. Because it was just awesome to finally, after so many years of loving the Mega Man series, to finally play the first one. And I wasn't particularly impressed. It's not a bad game by any means, but just after having played the other ones so much, it just felt off. There's certain things that are missing. There's only 6 bosses instead of the typical 8 that became the standard. And even just the controls aren't quite as sharp. There's a little bit more of a looseness to how Mega Man moves. Whereas in the later games, his movements are a lot tighter. A little bit more precise to what you're telling him to do. So we got Iceman's weapon, which is called, I believe, the Ice Slasher. And it freezes things. It doesn't deal damage, though, except against Fireman. I don't think it hurts anything else in the game. It's just a weapon to bypass obstacles. It's the only way to deal with these flames. Because nothing else will get through them. I gotta wait for that to thaw. But even standard enemies, it won't take them out. It'll just freeze them in place. Which doesn't seem particularly useful over just taking them out, but there are some enemies, like the Big Eyes, which are those giant bouncing robots we've been seeing at the end of most stages. It's really good at dealing with them because it gets them out of the way. Because they take so many shots that it's better to just hit them with the Ice Slasher and then either take them out while they're frozen, or you just freeze them in a way where you can bypass them. These guys are kind of tricky because when you shoot them, they explode. And if you're close to the explosion, it will damage you. So you don't want to shoot them while they're right in your face. Switch to the electric beam to take out that enemy that despawned before I could shoot him. Of course, this stage doesn't have the big eye to show that off. Now, Fireman! Fireman, I'm just gonna cut straight to using the Ice Slasher because he's also a difficult boss, and he's not quite as vulnerable to his weakness as other bosses. So it might be so you'll be able to see the gist of what he does even while I'm blasting him with this. He takes a few more hits regardless. Basically, he'll either shoot on his own or just kind of... Yeah, these flames keep coming up from the floor. He keeps shooting at you. That was a weird graphical glitch. The flame turned into something else for a second. It turned into letters, it looked like. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't know if it's because the icon that I had to collect was on top of the flame, or if it was because I grabbed the icon while the flame was active. Or a combination, I'm not sure. Bomb Man, the last of the Robot Masters! With this weird Jetsons level. Ooh, an extra life. That's always good. Especially if you want points. Those are especially useful if you're after that because... Oh, these are a staple of the Mega Man series. Enemies that jump up out of holes. Although they're trickier in later games. In this game, they just kind of come out at a pattern. But later Mega Man games, as you'll see if we get to those, they'll have enemies like that, but they jump up as you try to pass over the cliff to knock you straight down. Now we have, oh, Fireman, that's right. Fireman just shoots a straight shot. Nothing particularly interesting, except that when you fire it, it creates a flame barrier around you. And that barrier will also damage enemies that are nearby. It's not the most interesting weapon, but it has its uses. I feel like its biggest use is situations where if an enemy is directly behind you, you can blast them with it. There's Sniper Joe. He's another enemy who first appeared in this game and became a classic throughout the series, much like the little guys wearing the hard hats that we saw in Gutsman's stage at the beginning. I actually don't really want to shoot these bomb guys. I don't want them exploding in my face while I'm right near a pit that they can knock me down. Switch to electric, zap that guy, and continue onward to a ladder. It kind of blends in. Now, another staple of the Mega Man series is that spikes kill you with one touch. No matter how you touch it, even if it's just your foot barely grazing the very edge of the spike that isn't even the part that should... And in this game, you don't even get invulnerability against it. At least in most Mega Man games. Like in almost every video game, when you get hit in Mega Man, you get a brief period of invulnerability as you're flashing. And in most Mega Man games, when you have that invulnerability, you're immune to spikes. You can run through them. But in this one, you don't get that. The spikes are so powerful in the first Mega Man game that they bypass your invulnerability frames. So you just die. And some of the later games I found that was kind of weird, that the spikes kill you in one hit. But this is the one Mega Man game where I felt like it made sense because of how large they are. I mean, look at those things. They're as big as Mega Man, so I just could imagine Mega Man landing on that thing from high up and the thing just cleaving him in half as he falls on top of the thing. As opposed to in later games where it looks like it would just puncture his arm or something and cause serious damage, sure, assuming that extra life just respawned. Well, there's a potential exploit. Usually I don't even bother grabbing the thing, but getting kind of low because of those death traps. Want to switch to fire for this. Bomb Man also takes a few more hits, so I'm just gonna do this. Alright. Now we got these things to worry about. I'm pretty sure if you just fall, you're safe. Yeah, but I only have like half my health left, so I just want to do it right. Now I've got the last Robot Master, Bomb Man, with his Ninja Turtles background. He just jumps around and does what bombs do. Throw bombs and explode. Even his body is a bomb. It's kind of hard to tell with these graphics, but if you look at like art for him, yeah, his body is basically just the base of a bomb, just his head is where the fuse should be. Oh, that almost turned into a double kill. I wonder if that's possible, if both of you take each other out at the same time, and I imagine because you have to grab the item to clear the stage, it would count as a loss, but I don't know if I've ever had that happen before. So, we've taken care of the other half of the Robot Masters, and so we're gonna call it here. Seems like a good way to do it. Half, then half, and then Dr. Wily. It's not one stage though, it's a series of levels as we infiltrate Dr. Wily's castle and take the fight directly to the evil mad scientist himself. The man who is so wicked that he used his diabolical, sinister powers of science to plague this otherwise beautifully crafted character select screen with a lowercase letter. That's the real reason why we want to take him out. Not because he's trying to conquer the world, but because he ruined the synergy of this screen with that R. Next time on PlayView, we'll be doing just that. See you guys then. The most despicable thing Dr. Wily has ever done. I have lives, right? This is a very precise jump that I keep screwing up. Jumps around, chases after you, tries to stick to you. I have no lives left. That's good. Dr. Wily probably plans on mass-producing the Robot Masters to the point where he just refers to himself blatantly as a murderer. They did what they could. Fuck.